We're good though. So I am going to set this up. Let me know if at any point you can't hear me or anything. You can always unmute and just let me know. Otherwise, let's go ahead and start in a comfortable seat. That might mean legs crossed. It might mean sitting on your heels. It might mean legs down in front of you. You can always feel free to use a wall too and just be kind of propped up against the wall. That can be a nice way to stay erect without having to notice kind of aches and pains in the body. And once you arrive there, allow yourself to just observe your breath. You don't need to deepen it, although naturally by observing it, it changes and begins to deepen. We'll take a moment just to check the spine. Oftentimes, especially if you're sitting cross-legged, you might find your spine hunched forward a bit just because it's a little easier. So you can slide your hands back on your thighs a little and then lean the back until you feel the core click in and engage and feel the spine lengthen upward. Let the shoulders remain soft, maybe even do a couple circles with them and then just let them melt onto the back. And then arrive at a place of stillness. As you arrive, check in with your face, check your eyelids. See if you can soften even at the place where the top and bottom eyelids meet. See if you can soften the jaw, allowing a little bit of space where it hinges. Soften even where the lips meet. They might remain touching or they might gap slightly. And let the tongue be heavy on the floor of the mouth. So often we get caught up at the surface level of the body, at the surface level of our lives. And that tends to be where the weather exists. So as you picture your body here, take a moment to just feel it. Feel through your legs, your torso, through your arms, through your head. Wait until you have a real feel of the body as a whole. And then I want you to picture it as a lake. And notice that there is a surface. And that on that surface, the weather exists. There might be waves, there might be tumult. But as you go deeper within that lake, there is stillness. There's a place where the tiny little particles that exist there are simply suspended. Any light that filters through is there to just show the stillness, to emphasize the stillness. And notice where within your body that stillness seems to live. If you had to point at it, where would you be pointing? Draw your attention to that place. Every inhale, every exhale. For the next few moments, we'll focus on that place of stillness. Notice as you breathe into that place of stillness, how it serves as an anchor. You can always come back up to the surface and check in with whatever you might hear or see or smell or feel. But that stillness is always there. And as soon as you become aware of it, as soon as you direct your breath toward it, it begins to encapsulate your experience of your body in this moment. One of my teachers, Pema Chodron, has a quote and it says, "You are the sky, you are the sky, you are the sky. Everything else is just the weather." This inner place of stillness that really reminds us of that. That although we experience all sorts of different emotions and sensations, there's always something else within us that's observing us as we experience it. And that's the real us, the big S self. As soon as we draw our attention to that place of stillness, that place of observation, we grant ourselves the ability to detach from that sensation, from that emotion, from that experience, and view it from a place of a little bit of distance. Let's take just 3 more full cycles of breath. Breathing into that stillness. Softening around that stillness. And as we begin to move out of this little meditative moment, we can start by simply moving the fingertips wherever they're at. They're on the knees or the thighs, just curling the fingers in and then extending them out. Reawakening sensation in the external layers of the body. Bringing ourselves back up to the surface. And then we might crack open the eyes, keeping them downcast, but letting a little bit of light in. And as you feel ready, You can open the eyes more fully. And let's do a couple more shoulder circles, kind of ending where we started in the seated posture. Maybe exaggerating them a little bit. Inhaling as they go back, exhaling as they go forward. And then on your next inhale, we're going to inhale fully, fill up all of the lungs, all the way up through the throat. Hold at the top and try to sip in just a little bit more air. And a little bit more. And maybe a little bit more. And then we'll exhale through the mouth, cleansing breath, let it go. We won't go too far here. We're going to really ease into our practice because after a sit like that, it can be a bit intense to start moving too much too soon. So on an inhale, let's bring the arms out to the sides and up. Palms can touch overhead. And then we're going to exhale, twist to the left. Right hand can come to the right side of the body, left hand to the back behind you, maybe to the low back or to the floor, and direct your gaze over your left shoulder. Every inhale, think of the spine being taller, pressing into the sit bones more to lengthen up. And then every exhale, twist just a little bit deeper. So we inhale, we might come out of the twist a bit on inhales, lengthening up, but on an exhale, we can wring out the torso more, deepening. One more cycle. And then inhale, bring arms back up through center. Exhale, opposite side. Again, inhaling to lengthen, to root down and rise up. Exhaling to twist. One more full cycle, inhale and exhale. And then inhale back up through center. And we're going to exhale and find our way to a hands and knees position. Wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. We're going to just move into a few rounds of cat-cow here. So inhale, let the belly drop, let the heart lift, let the chin lift. Exhale, tuck that tail and round up each vertebra of the spine until you're pressing into the hands, pushing the floor away, lifting the heart between the shoulder blades. And then inhale, back to cow. We'll do 3 more full cycles of this. Allow yourself to just follow your breath. Two more full cycles. And when you're done, meet at a neutral spine. From here, we're just going to open up the right arm, lift it out to the side, and then exhale, thread it through. Right shoulder to the mat, right ear toward the mat. Press with that left hand to create a little more expansion on the front side of the body. Take one full cycle of breath here. And then inhale, lift back up, reach up. Exhale, right hand down. Other side, inhale, left arm up. Really press into the right hand to open. And then we're gonna exhale, thread the left arm through, left shoulder toward the mat. Again, press into the right hand again to open. And then inhale, come back up through center, lift that left arm up. Exhale, bring it down. We're going to move through our 2 sun salutations where we do split-legged steps forward and backward, and then we move through down dogs. And so if you know you like to do these with a prop or with a wall, feel free to set that up now. Otherwise, you can curl the toes under, and we're going to do another round of cat-cow, but this time as we inhale, we go normal. But as we exhale, we press and hover the knees up and then come all the way back to down dog. And allow yourself to feel this out for a moment. You might bicycle the heels up and down. Sway the hips side to side, drop one knee and then the other. Down dog is one of the most common postures, which means we visit it a lot and maybe get deeper in it than we do others, but it also means we might get comfortable with it. Maybe we get kind of automatic with it. So if you find yourself doing the same movements that you always do just on default, then try something else. Maybe try dropping the knees almost to the mat and pressing those hips back and then straightening the knees in and out. Anything new. And then as you feel ready, we're gonna inhale, lift this right leg up, and then open that hip. We're gonna reach heel towards sit bone, stack the hips, and then exhale, knee in toward the chest, plant the right foot, lower the left knee to inhale, chest, chin up, and then exhale, both feet to the front of the mat, forward fold. Big bend in the knees. Let yourself be heavy here. Inhale, half lift, lengthen the spine, look forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, press into the feet, come all the way up to standing, arms out to the sides and up. And then exhale, hands to heart center. We're going to take a moment here to do some side bending. So start by bringing your big toes toward each other, whether they touch or almost touch. And then we're going to bring hands up, both palms face forward, grab the right hand around the left wrist, and then curl the left thumb and fist. Root those shoulder blades down, firm up through the thighs, flex the glutes, pull the shoulders down as you reach the hands up, and then exhale, pull to the right, hips go to the left. Keep pressing into the mat with your feet through one more cycle of breath here. And then inhale all the way back up through center. Switch the grip. Exhale, opposite side. Hips to the right, arms to the left. One cycle of breath here, deepening on the exhale. And then inhale, press through the feet, lift up. We're going to exhale, fold all the way down. Palms will plant, right foot will slide back. Right knee will lower as we inhale, chest, chin up. And then exhale, come all the way back, downward facing dog. Our second time here, we're only going to stay here for one full cycle of breath. One big inhale. One exhale. And then we're going to inhale, rock forward to plank. Lower the knees, chest and chin, Ashtangasana. And then inhale, snake through cobra. Keep those shoulders drawn back, elbows hugged in, pelvis rooting down. Exhale, let it go. Whether by knees or through push-up, press up and back, downward facing dog. This time we're going to inhale, lift this left leg up. Bend the knee, heel towards sit bone. Stack the hips on top of each other for just a moment. And then we're going to exhale, hug that knee in, and step it forward toward the hands. Lower the right knee to inhale, chest, chin up. And exhale, both feet to the front of the mat, fold. Be heavy. Inhale, long spine, look forward. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, press into the feet, come all the way up to standing. And exhale, hands to heart center. We'll again enter into some side bending here. So this time we'll first grab the left hand around the right wrist, thumb and fist. Press down through the feet and then exhale, pull to the left, hips go to the right. Inhale through center and exhale, other side, switching the grip. Inhale through center and exhale, fold down, soften those legs, plant the palms, step the left foot back, lower that knee to inhale, chest chin up. And exhale, downward facing dog. This is our second or third down dog, but our second short one. So again, one breath here. Inhaling and exhaling. And then on your next inhale, rock forward to plank. Pause here for a moment, and then lower the knees. Lower the chest and chin down. Inhale, tuck the tail, let it ripple through your spine to lift that heart up. Exhale, lower. Up and back, downward facing dog. All right, this is our second longer hold of a down dog. So give yourself a moment here to either move a little bit, or if you maybe want to find stillness, you can think of reaching those sit bones up, lifting the toes even, and then straightening the legs any amount, dropping the heels any amount. Keep that chest reached back toward the thighs. We'll take 2 more cycles of breath here. Notice where your grip is in your fingers. Are you rocked back into the heels of the hands, or are every single knuckle of every single finger pressing down? On a next inhale, let's lift this left leg up. Go ahead, open again, stacking the hips, reaching the heel toward the sit bone for just a moment. And then from here, we're gonna exhale, bring knee toward nose or forehead. Inhale, lift it back, open up, stack the hips. Exhale, knee toward forehead. One more, open up on the inhale. Bring it in on the exhale. This time, open, reach a little bit more, and then exhale, step that left foot toward the hands at the front of the mat. We're gonna find our high lunge here. High lunge. So the back leg is your right leg, front leg is left leg. Keep that back knee lifted, back thigh is engaged. Even that right glute, you can try to squeeze and it'll automatically help square the hips. If you want to bring hands to hips, it can help to square them manually and then sink into this left leg as much as feels good. We're gonna have quite a few options here. So our first option is going to be to hold static. That's pretty intense in and of itself. Hands can be at hips, at heart center, or lifted. Our second option is going to be to pulse on this front leg. So maybe you straighten it and kind of get out of that hip for a second, and then bend it. Option 2 is going to be to bend the back leg. Straighten and bend. Option 3, wait, what am I on? I think I'm on like option 4 right now, not 3. Option 4 is going to be to combine some of these. So we'll bend the back leg, inhale to lift, and then we're going to hinge forward, drag the back toe in, maybe lift it off the ground for warrior 3, and then come back into a high lunge. Okay, so there are lots of options here. Choose whichever one feels like what you need. If you're really wanting to work on strengthening, well, strengthening all 3 of these do it. If you want to work on some extra balance, that's when you would add in that warrior 3. So let's go ahead and follow the breath here. On an exhale, if you're bending into the back leg, that's when you would do it. And then inhale, lift. Keep those hands forward. Hinge forward to maybe lift those back toes on an exhale. Inhale to set those back toes down and lift the torso back up. Ooh, that's intense. Okay, we're only gonna do 2 more. All right, and you might be like, okay, 1 was enough. Otherwise, bend into the back leg. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hinge forward, drag those toes in, maybe lift them. And lower, bring the torso up. All right, last one, bend and straighten. Exhale, hinge forward. Lower the back toes, inhale, lift. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna give you a break now. So exhale, hinge all the way forward, fingertips on the mat. We're gonna crawl the hands all the way to the right foot at the back edge. Once you're there, go ahead, lower that left knee. Right hand to right knee, Left hand to left hip. Push that left hip forward, pull that right hip back by pulling at the knee. Press toward the big toe edge of each foot, and then sink the hips down any amount that feels good. Now from here, you might lift the left hand. You might keep it at your hip. We're only here for 2 breaths. All right, so let that left hip open after all that flexion we just did. Connect back to your breath. And then on an inhale, we're going to reach both arms up, press into the front foot to straighten that leg a little bit more, and then hinge forward. Plant the hands, step back. We're going to move to our first full vinyasa. So this might mean being at the wall, might mean being at the mat. Lower halfway down or do a slow lower the whole way. Inhale, pull the heart through. Let the pelvis be heavy. Let the tops of the feet press in. Exhale, half push up. And back, downward facing dog. Walk it out. Your left hip is probably feeling it right now. All right, on an inhale, we're going to lift that left leg up into the air. Exhale, hug it in as tight as you can to your chest and step it toward the hands. Lower the right knee to inhale, chest, chin up. And then exhale, straighten both legs any amount. Look back. 2 more times, just pulsing here. Inhale to bend, look up. Can be nice to have blocks, books, anything to put your hands on here. Exhale, straighten any amount, look back. 1 more time, inhale to bend. Exhale to straighten, look back. Now this time we're going to hold it. You can always step that right foot forward any amount. This is a great place to have props for your hands on either side of your left foot. Bring the floor up toward you. You can use pillows, you can use books. Wherever you're at, shake the head out, yes or no, let the head hang heavy. It can be nice in these moments of passive stretching to exhale through the mouth, really let it go. Keep pulling that right hip forward, left hip back. But check your right knee. We don't want that right knee like so internally rotated that it's out of line. Should be in a straight line with the ankle still. Two more breaths here. Feel on every exhale how you can just get a little heavier. That armpit reaching a little more toward the left knee. And then on an inhale, we're going to bend back into that left knee, look forward, crawl the hands back to the right foot at the front edge of the mat. Back where you started. We're going to inhale, come up through high lunge. Let yourself sink into it for just a moment. We're just passing through high lunge. We're going to do some active extension of this left hip. It can be nice to have a wall in front of you for this, or hands at heart center. Hinge forward, bend into the right knee, look forward, and then reach the left heel toward the left sit bone. Keep actively reaching that heel towards sit bone. You can pull palm to palm. Try to lift the heart and lift the eyes if possible. Trace a line along the floor and up the wall in front of you. Breathe here for 3, 2, lift that thigh a little bit higher. 1, lower that foot down. Come up through lunge for just a moment. And then we're going to exhale, touch those fingertips down. We have kind of a weird transition here. So slide the right foot back about a footprint. And then we're going to bend the left knee in toward the right knee. Or we're going to try to squat down. And if pulling the leg through doesn't work, just sit down, plant the right foot and lift the left leg up. And you'll be exactly where we are. All right. So this is a little core work for us. Let's start by just lowering the left leg down for a moment. Right foot's planted. We're gonna come onto tented fingers with your hands, about in line with the right ankle, but on either side of your legs. We want a fairly straight spine here, but it's fine if you're kind of hinged back. And we're gonna lift and lower this left leg, okay? So it's fine if it only lifts a little bit. It's fine if you lift it all the way up, whatever feels okay to you, while maintaining that integrity of your core and not just like really rounding. So tented fingers, flex those left toes back to start to engage through that leg, and then exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. One more. Exhale, lift. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower that leg down. Oh my gosh, that's like terrible, isn't it? Okay, let's go ahead and treat ourselves by grabbing or straighten out the right leg. Lift the left leg, grab onto the back of it, and roll onto your back. Oh, that feels so good. Try to get your shoulders onto the mat, your low back onto the mat. You can be grabbing anywhere. It doesn't need to be high up on the leg. It can be right at the thigh, more toward the knee. It might be the calf. Just give yourself a second here. Take a couple breaths. And then we're going to start actively pulling this left leg toward us. So keeping the shoulders down is a key thing. So you might lift them a little bit to get a grip and then pull them down onto the mat as you pull the leg toward you. We're just going to be here for a couple breaths. It's okay if that left leg is shaky. Check though that you're pulling it toward the left armpit and not the center of your body. Because we want to keep that hip nice and open, not jam it up. 2 more breaths here. Soften where you can, through your face, through your torso. Just your shoulders and your leg are active here. And then exhale, loosen up into this. We're going to use this leg to pull ourselves back up. So we can kind of pull it toward ourselves and then on an exhale, push into the hands and try to rise. Oh. I don't know why, I feel like that's really oddly satisfying to come up to a seat that way. All right, so wherever you are, shake out your legs for a moment. We've done a heck of a lot of work on this left leg so far. So take a moment to just sit, and we're gonna do what's called staff pose. It's just palms face down. It's one of those poses you're like, oh, we're just sitting, but it's like weirdly challenging. So try to have a straight spine and palms toward the mat. They don't need to quite touch if they can't. And allow yourself to just breathe here and bring your attention into those legs. See if you can notice the difference between the left and right leg. See if here, in the middle of class with an elevated heart rate and temperature, if you can find that stillness that we found at the start of class. If you can drop into it. We often notice that when we drop into that stillness, our breath becomes smoother and our body in general cools slightly. Some of that frantic energy soothes. On an inhale, let's reach those arms out to the sides and up. Exhale, bring them through heart center. We're going to find our way back to our feet. Now, ladies, we have quite a few options here. One option is going to be to roll onto the back and roll up to your feet. Another option is going to be to use your hands and come up to your feet that way. There's a third option. If you're enjoying kind of that single leg work and you're still like, oh, I want to stoke my fire a bit more, we're going to come back to where we had that right foot planted and that left foot out in front of us. And we're going to bend the left leg until we can grab either the calf or maybe even the ball of the foot. Either way, whatever you're grabbing, we want your arms to be outside of both of your legs. That'll make it easier. Now, as we try to push this leg to straight, wherever you're holding it, we're going to lean forward and press into that right leg. Okay, and we're going to try to hover the butt off the mat. It's really hard, and I can't always do it. So let's see. Hinge forward, press into the feet, hover the butt up. Stay there for just a moment. Oh my gosh, why is it so hard? Yes, nice. And then lower that foot down. We're going to hinge the hands forward and step the feet together. Wherever you are, inhale, come all the way up to standing. Exhale those hands to heart center. Take a moment here, soften the knees, begin to rock heel to toe. Follow the breath through the body. And again, just try to notice the energetic difference. We did this seated, but sometimes we can feel it more thoroughly while standing. I always like to imagine it as if I were to draw a sketch of my body right now, how it feels energetically. My left side of my body would be like 3 times bigger than my right side of my body. All right, open the eyes. We're going to do a little bit of that shoulder work, some of that opening prior to moving into our next side. So for this, you can either do it at a wall or on your knees. And so if it hurts to be on your knees, or if you just want a way to kind of ease into it more, then you can come to a wall. And if you think it would be okay on your knees, you can do it on your knees. I'm going to show it on my knees because if I did it on my wall, you wouldn't actually see like the angle of my body for it to make sense, but it looks the same either way. So if you're at the wall, you're just going to crawl your hands out straight up the wall in front of you. If you're on your mat, you're doing the same. And you're just going to keep it on your mat. You're going to keep your knees and hips stacked. Whereas at the wall, you'll be standing, so you'll just melt your heart toward the wall. Kneeling, melt your heart toward the mat. This is our puppy pose. And the key thing here is that we want to have a supported, but at the edge, shoulder opening here. So whether you're on the mat or at the wall, make sure you're pressing with your palms still. If you're on the mat, you might be on tented fingers and pressing. Sometimes it's hard to get the butt of the palm down. And you can always slide your hands more forward if you're on the mat, or if you're at the wall, you can step further away from the wall to deepen. So take a moment here and just sink into it. We're going to be here for 4 cycles of breath, which is going to be a fairly long hold for us. Allow your eyes to close and your breath to deepen. Every exhale, think of your heart softening a little more. Do just 1 more cycle of breath. And then on the inhale, start by tucking the tail. And then round up through the spine. Find your way either back to hands and knees or to just standing in front of the wall. We're all going to make our way back to standing. So if you're at the wall, you're already there. Sorry, my dog's a really loud drinker. I don't know if you can hear that, but it seems really loud right now. If you're on the mat, we're gonna transition back to the top. And you can do that through any of our hops. So let's start in downward facing dog. If you're on the mat. And we're gonna hop toward the hands. So if you know you like to do a low hop, you can do that. If you like to do the high hops, step the feet up a footprint and toward each other. And then we're gonna bend into the knees, rock the shoulders beyond the wrist. Like you should really feel your weight in your hands. And you wanna maintain that weight as you lift the tail, bend the knees slightly, exhale, heel kick the bum. Let's do that just a couple more times. And then we'll all meet at the front of the mat. Inhale, half lengthen, look forward. Exhale, fold. And inhale, come all the way up to standing. Exhale those hands to heart center. Man, that was an intense set. We have to do that on the other side still, so I hope you enjoyed it. We are going to start though with a little bit of active back bending here. And I'm going to draw your attention to the shoulder aspect of it. And I promise, guys, we're going to have like a lot of shoulder stretching later, a big portion of the practice where you're like laying on your stomach. So just know that you have that to look forward to. Okay, let's start by putting our feet underneath our hips. Bring thumbs either side of sacrum. And I usually cue this as press through the feet, engage the thighs, lift the kneecaps, all of that. I still want us to do all of that. But as we think of drawing sit bone towards sit bone and then pressing the hips forward, I want you to think of actually flexing your glutes. Not like squeezing, but just like a little bit of a hold on the glute, a little soft muscle energy. As you press the hips forward, keep pressing into the feet, keep drawing the navel in and up, and then you might inhale to lift the chin. We're deeper into our practice than we normally are when we do a standing back bend. So you might walk your hands down the back side of your legs, if that feels okay. 2 more breaths here. And then inhale, we're gonna press into those feet. Keep those glutes flexed. As you come up to standing, reach all the way up. We're gonna do 2 cleansing breaths here. So bend the knees, fingertips sweep the floor. Inhale back up, 1 more. I'm scaring my cat, inhale back up. Exhale, fold all the way down. All right, our first forward fold. Again, we're deeper into class than we normally are here. So we can either grab peace fingers around the big toe, or we can slide palms face up beneath the bottoms of the feet. You might just grab opposite elbows and let your torso hang. Whatever feels best to you right now. We'll start by inhaling to lengthen the spine, look forward. And then we're gonna exhale, hinge at the hips, fold, let the torso be heavy, let it go. Shake the head out, yes or no. If you're actively wanting to pull down here, on exhales, you'll deepen. You'll maintain however far you got on inhales, breathe into it. And then on exhales, go a little deeper. See what it feels like here to pull sit bones toward each other. There should be a slight external rotation at the knee when you do it. Sit bones pull into each other. Maybe it allows you to hinge just a little bit more at the hip. Let the shoulders go away from the ears. And then on your next inhale, lengthen the spine, look forward, and come all the way up to standing. Exhale those hands to heart center. All right, so we need to end up back in our downward dog to start that set over. So you can take any method you want to get back. It might mean just planting your hands and stepping back. It might mean taking a crow pose and then finding your way back, or maybe you just plant the hands and kind of soften the knees and hop back. I'm going to cue through crow because that needs the most cueing, but take whatever option feels good. And if you want to stay here for a couple breaths, just being head upright and meet us in down dog, that's lovely too. If you are going to do crow and just play with it, keep in mind there's never any expectation of any certain result. Plant the hands shoulder distance apart in front of you, and then bring your knees toward the armpits. From here, slide the hands back just a little bit, coming up more onto the toes. And then you're going to squeeze the elbows toward each other and start to bend them. As you bend them, they're going to get to a point where they can't bend because your shins are in the way. So you're going to have to lift your hips and lean forward. Look forward too. As soon as you tuck the chin, you're going to somersault. Lean forward, look forward, press into every knuckle of every finger, and then maybe you experiment lifting one foot up, putting it back down, lifting the other. Maybe you just stay right here. You're like, ooh, this is good. This is intense. Maybe you play with lifting both feet up at the same time and staying near your crow pose. Wherever you are, stay there for one more full cycle of breath. One deep inhale. On your exhale, you can step it down and hop it back. You can fly it back. We're going to find our half push-up. Inhale, pull through upward facing dog. Exhale, lower down and press back, downward facing dog. And now we're back to where we started, but this time going for the right side. So give yourself 2 breaths here. Preparation breaths. And then we're going to inhale, lift this right leg up. Bend at the knee, reach heel towards sit bone, stack the hips. Exhale, knee toward nose or forehead. Inhale, lift it back, open it up. Exhale, knee toward nose or forehead. Last one, inhale, lift, stack the hips. Exhale, round it in, hug it in, and then step that foot forward and find your high lunge. Oh, take a moment here. We have built a lot of heat this practice, and we are going to take time to diffuse that heat. But this set is not that set. This set is the heat building set. And you know what's coming here. We have all those options. So whatever option you chose on the last side, maybe you straightened and bent this front leg a few times. Maybe you stayed static. Maybe you did the 3-part where you lowered, lifted, and found warrior 3. Wherever you are, we're going to do that again. And it's 3 rounds. So I'll cue through, sorry, not sure if you can hear him drinking it, but he's getting after it. I'll cue through the warrior 3 one because that one needs the most guidance. So if you're there, you're going to exhale, lower the back knee. Inhale, lift. Hinge the torso forward, reach forward, drag that toe in, maybe lift it up, and lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, back knee lowers. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hinge forward. Lift that back leg. And lower. Torso up. Exhale, knee down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hinge forward, lift that back leg. Inhale, lower it down, lift back up. Last one. So we get to exhale, hands those fingers forward. My goodness. I'm sorry, ladies. I didn't plan this class to be this intense, but holy moly, it's kicking my butt. Okay, walk all the way to your left foot at the back edge of the mat. Crawl those hands over there. Lower that right knee. We're going to come up into Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Right hand to right hip, left hand to left knee. Sink those hips down. Square them up and then sink them down. Give yourself a moment here. Allow yourself to really just sink into this. If you rock your weight toward the big toe edge of each foot, you might notice how that affects your experience of the pose. And you might notice it automatically kind of draws your navel in, which keeps you from just kind of flaring out the front side. 2 more breaths here. On an inhale, we're going to reach those arms up. Press into the front foot to straighten out a little more. Exhale, hinge forward, plant the hands. We're going to move through a vinyasa. If a vinyasa feels like too much heat right now, take a child's pose for a moment. Give yourself a chance to just take a breath. Otherwise, step it back, half lower or controlled slow lower the whole way. Inhale, pull it up, pull that heart through. Exhale, half push up, and back, downward facing dog. This next one, we're gonna inhale, lift the right leg up. Exhale, just hug it in toward the chest as much as you can, and then step it through toward the hands. We're gonna find our pyramid pose. So lower the left knee to inhale, chest chin up. And then exhale, straighten the legs, look back. Inhale the bend. Exhale, look back. One more. Exhale, look back. This is our hold, so you might step the left foot forward a bit. Just like in down dog though, be careful of finding the same exact shape here. Maybe you push yourself to keep the legs a little further apart this time, that's fine. Watch the hips again. Pull the left hip forward, right hip back, but make sure you're not drawing the left knee too far to the inside. And then relax the torso. Shake the head out, yes or no. Let it be heavy. Every exhale, feel your torso soften. Maybe close your eyes. Maybe you take a couple breaths through the mouth to allow your body to cool, to allow your breath to slow. Two more breaths here. Inhale, bend into this right knee. Let the torso come forward and then let it crawl all the way back to the left foot at the front edge of the mat. This is where we start with this high lunge. And then we exhale, hands to heart center, and we're going to come into that swan pose, Upara Hamsasana. So hinge forward, press into the left foot, bend into that left leg as much as you need. Again, drag the right toenail forward, and then bend the knee. We're flexing that foot. We're reaching heel towards sit bone, and we're lifting through the thigh. It's really active here. It doesn't feel like a stretch that much, but it is. Reach hands to heart center, palm to palm, and try to trace a line on your floor straight ahead of you until you come to a wall, and then let your eyes follow up that wall. Soften the shoulders down. One more breath. Exhale, lower that right leg. Inhale, those arms lift. And then we're going to do that funky thing where we come to the pistol squat. Okay, so we bring the hands forward, slide the left foot back to the center of the mat, right knee bends. And then try to lower the hips and shoot that right leg forward as the hips hit the mat. Tell you what, I did a lot of this earlier today, and I'm feeling it right now. Holy moly. Okay. So fingertips are tented, left foot is planted, right leg is straight, and the right toes are flexed back. We're going to press into the hands, try to keep a straight spine, even if that means you're leaning back, just try to avoid caving. It's strong core work here. On exhales, lift, inhale, lower. Lift and lower. 3 more, lift, lower. Lift, lower. Last one's a hold for 3, 2, 1. Straighten that left leg out, grab the back of the right leg, roll onto the back. Whew. We earned this. And it feels so much better since it was earned. Give yourself 2 breaths to just be here. That leg isn't really doing much. It's just hanging out in the air. We're just kind of lightly holding it. And as you feel ready, we're going to flex the right toes back. And the hands can be at the thigh, at the calf. If you're super bendy and can grab the ankle, then that's an option too. I'm not there yet. We're just going to grab it and draw the shoulders toward the mat. Think of reaching out at the left heel. Those toes are even flexed back right now. And then pulling the right knee toward the right armpit. Every exhale, you can go a little deeper. Remember, shaking here is super normal. We just did so much strengthening work. Your leg is getting energized right now. The shakes in yoga, we call them spanda. Basically, that just means, evidence that you're alive. It's a good thing. Exhale, we're gonna hinge ourselves back up with that leg. So push into the hands, come up to a seat. Beautiful. Shake out those legs. We're gonna stay seated for a bit now, which I'm excited about. We are gonna do that puppy pose one more time, but then we're gonna come back to our butts and be here for a moment. So if you were at a wall, you can try it again, either standing at the wall or you can kneel at the wall this time. If you were on the mat and that felt good to you, then we can do that again. So you would just cross the ankles and come forward. And again, we think hips stay stacked, crawl those hands forward, melt that heart down. Now you can play here with really actively pulling the shoulders down away from the ears. Sometimes that allows for a nice extra deepening. Sometimes it doesn't feel as good. So do whatever feels best to you. Draw the navel in and up. Tuck the tail slightly. That'll keep this safe in your low back. Two more breaths. On your next inhale, slowly work your way out of this. We're going to find child's pose for just a couple of breaths. So let your knees either be together or wide, whatever feels best to you. And bring the torso forward, melt it down. A good counter to a back bend. Let your jaw soften. Let your eyes soften. If your wrists are feeling anything from any time we spent on them, you can always bring the backs of your fingers together. Just your fingers, not palms. And then let them just rest ahead of you. It's a really nice, gentle wrist stretch. Two more breaths here. On your next inhale, we're gonna slowly rock forward to hands and knees. And we're gonna find our way to our stomachs. This is a great place to add in a vinyasa. If you do feel like you just want an extra little bit of heat, you can do so. Otherwise, just rock to your stomachs and lie down. So I'm actually gonna turn to face the camera for this one. We're gonna start doing a few different shoulder stretches here. And then we're gonna go into some more leg work, but we'll do it from the mat. So let's start by bringing the left arm out, and we'll bend the elbow 90 degrees, palm is face down. So you might have to kind of lift to check that your elbow's in line with your shoulder. And then you can bring the left ear to the mat, right hand under right shoulder, roll onto your left side of your body. Bring the knees in and up as though you're kind of in the fetal position. That'll give you a little bit more ease in staying here and not just flopping back onto your stomach. If it feels okay to do so, you can plant the right foot in front of the left thigh. Press palm against knee. Otherwise, your hand can come to your low back or to your right hip, and try to just stack your shoulders. Breathe into that left shoulder here. One more cycle of breath. And then on an inhale, while your body's inflated, to keep it a little more rigid and safe, find your way back to your stomach. And we're just gonna go to the other side. So right palm face down. 90 degrees. Left palm under left shoulder, right ear to the mat. Roll to the right side. Bend the knees up. Maybe step the left foot in front of the right thigh. Maybe press that knee away with the left hand. Otherwise, bring left hand to the low back or to the left hip. Stack the shoulders. Breathe deeply. Two more breaths. Use an inhale to unwind. Come back to your stomach. Ah, feels so good. All right, we're not going to go too far here. We're not going to make our shoulders work very much for a moment. We're instead going to do some active back bending, which will require our shoulders to work, but not at the actual joints. It'll more be the muscle on the back side of the body and then the chest. So slide the hands to where the elbows are hugged in at the sides and the palms are about underneath the shoulders. And then press the tops of the feet into the mat. The toes can either be touching, the big toes can touch, or they can be a little bit apart. It's really whatever feels most comfortable to you. You should feel your knees lift from the mat, and then press the pelvis into the mat. And check here that the glutes aren't squeezing together. So maybe rock side to side on the pelvis. Feel it rooted down, feel the tops of the feet rooted down. Draw the shoulders back. So the heart's maybe a little lifted here. And on an inhale, we're gonna lift the torso up, but not use the hands, just hover them above the mat. Keep lifting up. Keep lifting. Try to press into the tops of the feet and lift even more. Lift from the heart. Think of the shoulder blades drawing together. Think of the collarbone lifting even more. And then on an exhale, let it go. This time we're gonna lift just the legs. So the forehead or chin can be on the mat. The hands can be planted just to give you some stability. Press down through the pelvis. Keep pointing the toes, and then lift those legs up behind you. Think of drawing knees toward each other as you lift, and lift a little bit more, and just a little bit more. Feel the glutes engage as you lift a little bit more, and lower down. Ooh. Rock side to side, shake out the body, because I know you know where we're going. We're going to tie all of that together. All right, so start by pressing down with the tops of the feet. Draw the shoulder blades back, press the pelvis into the mat. Now we know that pelvis is going to be our main anchor point. So we can begin by keeping the feet on the mat, lifting the torso up any amount, letting the hands hover. And then from here, lift the feet. Reach the hands back at your sides, palms face down, shoulders hug in, pinkies hover against the thighs, lift even more. Even more, flex those glutes, lift the legs even more. Even more. Exhale, let it go. Oh my goodness, let's push up and back to a child's pose for a moment. Really breathe deep into your low back here. I'm going to give you the option to stay in this child's pose. This might feel like so good to you right now, in which case you should stay. If you're like, ooh, I was really liking the sensation of that back bending, then I'm going to instead guide you through one more back bend here. So I'll turn my side to the camera. If you want to go into the back bend, just bring your heels to your sit bones and bring knees together. And then we're going to lift up. So we're just in kneeling. Your knees can be hips distance apart. So I don't know, like a few inches apart really is all it comes down to when it's at your knees. And we have a couple options. We're going to come into camel pose, but you can do it actively with hands at heart center, or you can prepare to do an active passive where you would eventually bring your hands to your heels. So if you know that you have one of those in your practice and you want to do it, then set up for that. Otherwise, I'll cue both, but I'll have my toes tucked to prepare to grab my heels. So we'd start just how we would in standing, where we bring sit bones toward each other, feel the knees kind of go out from each other, tuck the tail, flex the glutes lightly, press the hips forward, and then lift the chin. Now hands can stay at heart center. You really feel your back body lifting you, supporting you here. We don't want to think of caving. We want to think of the back body lifting. Now, if you want to grab the heels, you might ease out of it, and you can just turn to the side and grab one heel. And then you can reach the other hand back and grab the other. Now, I'm not really in much of a back bend here. I'm mostly just leaning. So I'm going to press my hips forward, flex my glutes, and then lift my heart and enter my back bend that way. Wherever you are, let's stay there for 2 cycles of breath. Again, picture the back body lifting if you are in a back bend. If you're holding your heels, send your hips back to ease out of the back bend, and then reach one hand forward and then the other to come out of it. If you are hands at heart center, just inhale to press into the knees and lift up. And we'll all meet in child's pose for just a couple more breaths. Counter that pose. And on an inhale, you can begin to crawl your hands back in. We're going to find our way to a seat, but I want you to face, I guess it doesn't matter. Like, if you want to have your legs on the mat, turn to face the long edge of the mat. Otherwise, your legs can be off the mat to the sides, whatever works best for you. but we will want our legs long out to the sides. And while we're here, it can be nice to kind of manipulate the flesh. Sometimes the toes want to roll in, so we can just roll the thighs out a little bit, allow our toes to point straight up. And we're gonna take a breath here with a long spine, and then we're gonna exhale, bring the right hand inside the right leg, and bring the left arm over the left ear toward the right toes. Keep that left sit bone reaching down, even as you reach for those right toes. You can always press the right arm into the right leg to open up to the side more, add more of a spinal twist here. Two more breaths. Really allow your breath to deepen. And then we're gonna inhale, come back up through center, reach those arms up. Exhale, left hand down, right arm over the right ear. You can move that left hand wherever feels comfortable. If you're in a pretty deep bend, press the left elbow against the left leg to twist through underneath that right armpit a little more. Close the eyes, deepen the breath. Inhale back up through center. Reach both those arms up. Exhale, let's bring the hands behind us, point them away, and just pull the chest through and up for 2 breaths. And then we can slowly round back into the spine and ease out of that. From here, we'll draw the left heel in. We're going to kind of come into a figure 4 of sorts. And we're again going to hinge over this right leg. But this time, you can think of trying to square your shoulders so that you're looking straight at those right toes. So it's less of a side bend this way and more of a just hinging straight over that right leg. You can crawl your hands forward. And there are options here. If you want to keep a long spine, you would do Pada Drishti, where you would gaze right over the toes. If you want to do a rounded spine, then let your chin hang in and you could gaze at the navel or close the eyes. Think of reaching those elbows toward the mat on either side of the leg, even if they get nowhere close. That's the right feel. Inhale, we're going to slowly hinge back up. And from here, we're going to come into some adduction. So you can either cross the right knee atop the left knee, or if you're like, oh, that does not feel okay in my body, keep this left leg straight and just cross the right leg over it, even if it's not very bent. However bent it feels like it can be, you can even straighten the legs out at a cross and then hinge forward from here. So do whatever of those options feels accessible to you. I'm gonna bend both of mine. Keep your toes flexed no matter where you're at. And you can stay upright if that feels good, or you can hinge forward. Just keep both sit bones reaching toward the mat no matter what leg shape you have. If you want to add a bit of a twist here, you could reach your right hand out, or sorry, your left hand across the body toward the right, and then open up to the right. Or maybe even bring hands to heart center. That can sometimes add a little more leverage if your elbow is tucked outside of your knee. Exhale, release. Straighten both of those legs out, give them a little shake. This time we're going to bring the right heel in, figure 4, left leg out. Again, square the shoulders up toward the foot and then begin to hinge down, keeping both sit bones planted, keeping those left toes straight up and flexed back. Whether your spine is long or rounded, do so intentionally. And on an inhale, crawl your hands back in. This time we'll have the left leg on top, doing whatever form of abduction you did last time. Toes flex no matter what. And then exhale, hinge forward if you please, or stay upright. Keep those sit bones rooted down. If you took a twist, you might do so again, crawling the right hand across the body, maybe hooking that elbow on the knee and bringing hands to heart center. Inhale, slowly release. We're going to move into our pigeon pose, our external rotation. But instead of just the two pigeons I've offered before, one where you have one leg forward, one leg back, one where you're on your back in figure four, I'm going to introduce a third option, and it's the most intense option. And so if either of those other options you're like, oh, that's my edge, then find that option. Otherwise, we'll start with the left leg, the right leg, no matter which option you choose, that will be the leg that's bent. If you're wanting this third option, you're actually going to bring your right foot toward your left hip crease. So it's on top of your left leg. Flex those left toes back, and then you'll hinge forward here. Now, it might not feel like much in a seated posture. If you're like, ooh, I really want to deepen this even further, then one thing that you can do is take it to standing. And so just come up to standing, tuck your right leg into your left hip crease, and hinge forward from here. Keep drawing that right knee out. Wherever you are, we're going to stay there for 3 cycles of breath. And on your next inhale, ease out, switch sides. Re-engage, find your alignment here. And then exhale to deepen. Again, we'll be here for about 3 more breaths. Inhale to slowly unwind. Now, in these final minutes of class, you always have options. If there's any poses that you were feeling like would feel good in your body at this moment, you can take those. If a finalizing inversion sounds nice, then you can always find room for a headstand, for even just bringing your feet up above, coming into a shoulder stand, anything that feels good for you. I know that there are a couple folks who are interested in learning a little bit more about forearm stand, and so I'm going to cue kind of a way to end that would work its way into a forearm stand. So if you're interested in that, if inversions sound nourishing to you and not like something that's just going to add intensity that's unneeded, then I'll cue that. However, this is a great time for spinal twists, for happy baby, for any of those poses as well. If you are interested in forearm stand, we're going to start by bringing our elbows shoulder distance apart. You can always grab around the elbows to just double check here. And then bring the hands out. They can either be straight ahead of the elbows or your hands can be closer toward each other in more of a triangle. See whatever feels like you get the most surface area and have the most stability. From here, you're going to press into that base, lift the heels, lift the knees, walk in. This is what our dolphin pose is. So pressing into those forearms, we feel space in the shoulders. Inhale, we might lift this right leg up, lean forward, come up onto the toes of the left foot, and lower. Lift and lower. One more, lift. If it feels okay to do so, you can keep pulling up with the right leg and maybe just hop off of the left toes. Just give that a feel. And then lower the right foot down, and we're just going to do it on the other side. So left leg lifts and lowers. Lifts and lowers. Lifts, and again, gaze between the forearms, and maybe just lift with that left leg, really pull it up, and then hop off the right toes. Just find some float time. And lower down. Now, if it feels like, oh man, I kind of want to hop up into a full version of that, you can always bring that to a wall and then think of actually hopping the whole way up. If you're like, no, that felt pretty intense, like forearm stand work so intense, muscle engagements in the shoulders, you might be at a point where it feels better to do some spinal twists. So I'll leave that to you. We do have a few minutes. So make this practice yours. Choose whatever feels like is the best way to end for you. You might already be headed towards Shavasana. That is perfect. Move towards Shavasana. Find that for yourself. My cat is all about Shavasana. If you haven't already started to find your final pose, start to move into it. You can be lying down. If your setting feels a bit too chaotic for that, you can always take a seat instead. Whether you're lying down or seated, we're going to end class today with Brahmari, which is bee's breath. You inhale normally, but you exhale humming. And that humming can be at any frequency, high or low. It's clearing for the sinuses, but it's also just a very grounding pose. It kind of soothes the nervous system, just having those vibrational tones move through your skeletal system. And so if that seems like something that your body could use right now, then I would invite you to try it. We'll exhale everything from our lungs. Inhale, just a normal inhale. And then exhale with noise, mouth closed. Exhale through the mouth, let it go. We'll close today with a simple mantra. And if you're lying down, you can stay lying down, no need to sit up. You can either say this with me or just think it as I go through it. It's a mantra for peace, though. It's not to any sort of deity or Godhead. It's just that let there be peace within me. Let there be peace for all of those I know. Let there be peace for all living beings everywhere, is what it essentially says. And we start with an Om, and then we do 3 Shantis. So it's Om, Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. The last Shanti has a repeated vowel. So if you're interested in doing that with me, it doesn't need to be any beautiful sing-songy anything. You'll definitely not hear me doing anything beautiful. But we'll just exhale everything from the lungs. Inhale fully. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We practice not just for ourselves, but that we might reunite with that inner stillness that's always there within us in order to more fully and more truly interact with the world around us. We practice that in bettering ourselves, in not necessarily changing ourselves in any way, just reuniting with our truest selves. We can somehow ripple that outward and help all beings everywhere live happy, free, and within peace. Inhale, arms can come out to the sides and up, palms coming together overhead. We'll exhale, thumbs to forehead, in acknowledgement of this body and the work it's put in for us today. Thumbs to mouth, acknowledging this breath. And thumbs to heart center, acknowledging this self. The light within me recognizes and honors the light within each of you. Namaste.